So quite often in English, that Buddha is translated awakened being, awakened being, fully awakened, or awakened mind, or awakened being. Buddha as a person, awakened being, and his or her mind is awakened mind. Awakened mind. So what is the meaning of awaken? Awaken. Sangha in Tibetan. Awaken and also increase. Now the awaken from in the sense of be free from, or awaken from delusions, from ignorance, and that is the meaning. The meaning of awaken. Awaken in the sense of his or her mind is free from delusions, ignorance, and that is the meaning of awaken. Then this second part in Tibetan, Geshe, increase, the compassionate nature and the wisdom element is completely cultivated, or fully cultivated, completely developed, and that's the meaning of Geshe, or increase, Sangha. So when we talk about Buddha, not as the historical Buddha, as a general, we're not talking about physical features, or we're not talking about a different race or anything like that. We are talking about mental qualities, mental features. And also with mental features or mental qualities we are talking about here is not there right at the beginning or eternally there. We are talking about through the process, the process of cultivating, then reach that level of be free from ignorance, that's awakened, and fully or completely cultivated the compassionate nature as well as wisdom element. So that when we talk about the Buddha, we're talking about the mental, Buddha is defined. The person, say he or she is Buddha, is defined from the mental qualities. The mental quality which saying be completely free from delusions, and increase, cultivated the compassionate nature and the wisdom nature fully and completely. So that is here the meaning of Buddha, And the person who has that, his or her mind is in that kind of nature, then that person, he or she, is Buddha and a fully awakened being. So that is, first briefly say what is Buddha. We may come back again to talk later if we have enough time, but first I want to say briefly those points. Then the second one, Dharma, the second refuge object, Dharma. Dharma, this term, the Sanskrit term Dharma, again has many different connotations. Here, Dharma, in the second refuge object Dharma, refers to, Dharma here refers to two things. First, Dharma, here the second term Dharma first refers to the way or the path. In this case, I want to briefly go back to the Four Noble Truths. Four Noble Truths. Out of Four Noble Truths, the last noble truth of the path, or the way, sometimes is translated, noble truth of the path or the way. So here, Dharma refers to two things. The first, the path, the way, and the second, the result of the path or the way, the path which is cultivated, result of that path, which is the third noble truth of cessation. Cessation of dukkha and the origins of dukkha. Origins of dukkha. Here. So Dharma refers to these two. The last noble truth of the path, which I will explain briefly, what is the path. First, just get that one. The Dharma refers to two things. The first, out of the Four Noble Truths, the last noble truth of the path, and second, the third noble truth of the cessation of suffering and the origins of suffering. So Dharma here refers to these two. So these two, what is the path? What is the way? The way, here are usually, there are different ways, and to understand it, particularly people who are hearing this first time, to get a grip, to understand, what's the word? Instead of to reduce the confusion, so I'll put this simple term: the path, which or the way, can be looked at into these three, what we call concentration, ethics, and the wisdom. I'll repeat that again: concentration, ethics, and the wisdom. These three can be expanded, saying the Noble Eightfold Path, eight different things. So I don't want to say that because it's too long list. So instead of saying too long list, put into shorter list, three: concentration, ethics, and the wisdom. So these three are the ways or the path, the cultivation of these three, and the full result of cultivation of these three will be the cessation, which is the third noble truth, the cessation of suffering and the origins of suffering. So Dharma refers to these two. Out of these two, mainly refers to Dharma refers to that cessation. This term cessation is, as I said earlier, very much, you may say, oh, it is English word, but what does that mean, cessation? It is not that easy, but I keep using that. I found this term is better than using some other terms saying enlightenment, Buddhahood. There are different terms, which is sometimes very difficult, although anyway, the cessation of suffering and the origins of suffering. So Dharma, the second refuge object, mainly refers to that cessation. Although it refers to the both path, the way which leads to that cessation, and the cessation itself, but mainly refers to the second one, the cessation of suffering and the origins of suffering. Now that is Dharma. That is Dharma. Second refuge object. Second refuge object. Then the third one, Sangha. Sangha. Sangha, very strictly speaking, that term, Sangha, in Tibetan it says Gendun, Gedun, Gendun. The connotation of that term, very loosely, the Gendun in Tibetan term, in Sanskrit Sangha, it has a connotation of saying, the having aspiration to virtues, having a aspiration to virtues. That is the loose connotation, Sangha or Gendun. Now, strictly speaking, this term Sangha refers to either individual person or collective or group of people, or anyway, the Sangha, this term refers to a person, an individual person, a person who has understanding. I'll repeat that. Sangha, the term strictly refers to a person who has direct understanding, of selflessness, or in the Mahayana terms, emptiness. But I want to stick with this term, selflessness. So the Sangha refers to, strictly, it refers to the person who has, direct understanding of selflessness. That is Sangha. That person is Sangha. So Sangha, the third refuge object, definitely refers to a person or group of people, anyway, people who have direct understanding of selflessness. Those people are Sangha, and those people are the third refuge objects. So now these three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. As I said earlier, the understanding of these three jewels will come when we understand last two noble truths. Noble truth of cessation and noble truth of path which leads to cessation. If we understand complete cessation, complete extinction, complete cessation of suffering and origins of suffering, is possible. When Buddha taught his first noble truth, first teachings, relation to the third noble truth of cessation, he said, there is a cessation. There's a cessation, and this cessation should be fully experienced, fully actualized. First, he said there is a cessation, cessation of dukkha and origins of dukkha. There is, in the sense of that kind of cessation is fully You know, the possibility is there, that kind of cessation.